Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Edit, coming to you live from the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government to meet NLC today over fuel subsidy removal. Court adjourns Peter Obi's petition over employees' illness. Plus, US penalizes Kosovo after violent unrest. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us. We begin the news this afternoon with a report that the federal government representatives are set to meet with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) today over the planned removal of fuel subsidy. This is disclosed by the NLC National President Joe Ajero on a live interview. Ajero said even with the good intentions of President Bola Tinubu, alternatives must be provided to curb hardship on the masses. The NLC boss listed the alternatives. They include the repair of the nation's 4 refineries, provision of transportation of alternatives for the Nigerian workers, amongst others. In the related development, the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) says the recently inaugurated Dangote petrol refinery may not take complete care of the needs of Nigerians and may not bring down prices of petroleum products in the country. Speaking in an interview with newsmen, the NLC president Joe Ajero said a Dangote refinery is commendable but might not be the answer to the issues confronting the petroleum sector. Ajero noted that to avoid issues of dictatorship where only one company operates in the market, other companies are encouraged to establish refineries in the country. Still on subsidy, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria (IPMAN) says its members across the country still sell premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, at 196 naira per litre, despite the removal of fuel subsidy announced by President Bola Tinubu during his inaugural speech on May 29th. IPMAN National Public Relations Officer Yakubu Suleiman noted that subsidy will end by June, encouraging members of the association not to panic but continue selling the product at the appropriate price. The IPMAN spokesperson, who cautioned Nigerians against panic buying, said refined petrol without subsidy payment will come into force by July and not June. And from the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives had her committee on the state of refineries in the country has said that the federal government spent the sum of over 11 trillion naira from 2010 to date on rehabilitation of refineries. According to the panel, the additional cost in other currencies are $592,976,050, €4,877,068, and £3,455,656. Giving a breakdown of the figures, the committee said while the cost of rehabilitation project was over 42 billion naira, the deduction from Federation account for rehabilitation was over 191 billion naira, and the losses by the refineries over a given period was over 366 billion naira. On judicial matters, the Presidential Election Petition Court has adjourned to June 1st the hearing of the petition by the Labour Party and its candidate Peter Obi against the President Bola Tinubu following the illness of 2 key staff members of his legal team. Counsel for the petitioner, Awa Kalu, persuaded the court to adjourn for the proceedings on the case he filed to challenge the outcome of the February 25 presidential election, through which Tinubu emerged as president. Kalu, representing the petitioners, told the court today that 2 key members of the team suddenly fell ill and would not attend the day's proceedings. He added that their absence has affected earlier plans to tender vital documents before the court. Meanwhile, the National Industrial Court in Abuja has upheld the no work, no pay rule by the federal government in the suit filed against the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. In a judgment delivered by the president of the court, Justice Benedict Kanyip, the court held that it was within the right of the federal government to withhold the salaries of workers who embarked on industrial action. It held that the no work, no pay rule enforced by the federal government against members of ASU who went on strike last year was legal. However, the court held that it was a violation of university autonomy for the federal government to impose the integrated payroll and personal information system platform on members of ASU who reserve the right to determine how their salaries should be paid. Away from that, the Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwefuru has ordered the freezing of the state government accounts domiciled in various banks. The governor, who was sworn in on Monday, also appointed Dr. Mande Uzo as his chief press secretary. Uzo had served as CPS to the immediate past deputy governor of the state, Dr. Kalechi Igwe. The governor's decisions were conveyed in a statement by Uzo. And back here, the newly appointed secretary to the Akwa Ibom State government, Prince Enobong Uwa, will be sworn into office by Governor Umoino today, Wednesday, May 31st. A release by the chief press secretary to the governor, Kerete Udo, reveals that a swearing-in ceremony will take place at the banquet hall of Government House by 2 p.m. prompt, noting that all invited guests are expected to be seated by 1:30 p.m. before the arrival of the governor. According to the release, the new SSG, Prince Enobong Uwa, was until his appointment the executive chairman of Uyo Capital City Development Authority, UCCDA. He has served the state in several capacities, including the Commissioner for Environment and Mineral Resources, Commissioner Housing and Urban Renewal, Secretary General of the Divine Mandate 2019, Secretary General Maintain Peace Movement MPM, and recently Secretary General Umoino Akoneyanyi Campaign Organization. The new SSG holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Geography and Regional Planning from the University of Cross River State, now University of Uyo, and a Master's in Public Administration, also from the University of Uyo. In the meantime, Governor Umoino had yesterday approved the following appointments with immediate effect: Prince Enobong Uwa, Secretary to the State Government; Ikerete Udo, Chief Press Secretary; Anyetie Usen, Senior Special Assistant, Media and Publicity; Otobong Edem Idiong, Chief of Protocol; Dr. Udrabong Inam, Economic Advisor. This was made known by the Permanent Secretary, Government House, Nathaniel Adiakpan. The governor, however, encouraged Akwa Ibom people to accord them necessary support to enable them to discharge their duties creditably. We move now to Africa, where Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says preparation of an intergovernmental agreement between Moscow and Burundi on civilian nuclear energy is in its final stage. Lavrov made the remarks after holding talks with Burundi's Foreign Minister Albert Shingiro in Bujumbura. He said both parties were committed to cooperating in the peaceful use of the nuclear energy. Recall that the two countries signed a nuclear energy roadmap deal in November last year, in which Russia agreed to seize Burundi set up atomic plants. Still in Africa, Zimbabwean government has summoned the acting U.S. ambassador to the country over election-related social media posts, which it said amounted to activism and meddling in the country's internal affairs. In a statement, Zimbabwe's acting permanent secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Rufina Chikava, confirmed the meeting. Chikava said she informed the U.S. embassy's charge the affairs, Ellen French, that the posts were unacceptable and deviated from diplomatic norms. Meanwhile, a spokeswoman for the U.S. Embassy, McRick, said there was no problem with the social media posts. while also confirming the meeting between the Zimbabwean government and the acting U.S. ambassador. On the foreign scene, the U.S. has announced measures against Kosovo for ignoring its advice to avoid raising tensions in majority Serb northern areas. It has criticized Kosovo's decision to install ethnic Albanian mayors in northern Kosovo by forcibly means. Kosovo has been expelled from participating in an ongoing American-led military exercise in Europe. Recall that police and NATO troops reportedly clashed with Serb protesters in Zivkan, North Kosovo, on Monday. Still on the foreign scene, Moscow installed head of the occupied region in eastern Ukraine, Leon Paskynyk, has said that 5 people were killed and 19 others injured in Ukrainian shelling of Luhansk. Paskynyk made this known on his Telegram page, noting that 2 of those injured in the shelling of Karpaty village, Pereziek's district, are in serious condition in the hospital. And still to come in the news, Brentford signed keeper Mark Flinken from Freiburg. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. We move on to the rest of the news stories. On a business news, the Debt Management Office, DMO, in a tweet has stressed the need for Nigeria to boost revenue and manage spending like Indonesia, which is also an oil-producing country. Past reports have shown that Nigeria suffers declining revenue despite a widening budget deficit, while Indonesia targets a budget surplus. Nigeria has a consistently maintained wide budget deficit. According to an analysis of the federal government's data from the Budget Office of the Federation, a total budget deficit under the former President Muhammadu Buhari was set to hit 47.43 trillion naira. The budget data cover the actual budget deficits and projections for 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 through 2023 fiscal years. According to data, deficit financing has risen by 370.54% from 2.41 trillion naira in 2016 to 11.34 trillion naira in 2023. The data was obtained from the Budget Implementation Report for 2016 through 2023 and to January-November. Still in business, the level of domestic transactions on the Nigerian Exchange Limited has dropped by 45.30% in 16 years, from 3.556 trillion naira in 2007 to 1.945 trillion naira in 2022. This was revealed in a report issued by the Nigerian Exchange chronicling activities in the local bourse for April. Data from the Nigerian Exchange showed that domestic transactions had grown to 397.1 trillion naira in 2008 before dropping to 422 billion naira in 2011 and grew past 1 trillion naira before dropping to 634 billion naira in 2016. It suffered another dip below the 1 trillion naira mark in 2019 and stood at 194.5 trillion naira as at the end of 2022. Over the same period, foreign transactions on the Nigerian Exchange also decreased by 38.47% from 616 billion naira to 379 billion naira. Meanwhile, total domestic transactions accounted for about 84% of the total transactions carried out in 2022, while foreign transactions accounted for about 16% of the total transactions in the same period. In health, stakeholders in the health sector have urged President Bola Tinubu to address the lingering health issues in the country. The stakeholders who made the call in separate interviews with the newsmen said the new government should be more sensitive to health and the well-being of Nigerians. The national president of Association of Community Pharmacists in Nigeria, Adewale Oladibolu, urged the new government to give priority to local pharmaceutical drug manufacturers. He said such incentives will help scale up the percentage of drugs produced in the country, which currently stands below 30%. Meanwhile, the chief scientist of the World Health Organization, WHO, Jeremy Farrar, has urged world leaders to invest in building health and political systems so as to improve scientific capacity to fight future pandemics. The WHO scientist, in a video posted on the Global Health Body's official Twitter handle, stressed that countries need to start investing largely in manufacturing, health, and surveillance to be able to combat potential pandemics. Farrar, while advising world leaders not to wait for a crisis before investing, also emphasized the importance of building trust among nations. He referred to global health issues as transnational, adding that no country could solve its issues without cooperating with others. And from the exciting world of sport, Brentford have signed Netherlands goalkeeper Mark Flekken from Freiburg for a reported £11 million. A 29-year-old who has won 4 international caps joins on a 4-year contract subject to international clearance and a work permit. He kept 13 clean sheets in 34 matches for Freiburg this season, the most in the Bundesliga. Brentford manager Thomas Frank said he is a player with a load of quality, finishing 9th in the Premier League this season. Still in sport, EPL referee Andre Marina will no longer referee in the Premier League from next season after 2 decades as an official. The 52-year-old's last game was Arsenal's 5-0 thrashing of Wolves last Sunday. It was his 391st match in the English top flight. Marina's first Premier League game was a match between Charlton and Norwich in November 2004. On our entertainment news, acclaimed singer-songwriter Victoria Kimani is set to mesmerize audiences with her latest release, How I Do. Produced by the Kayo Music, How I Do showcases a seamless fusion of Afropop and R&B. The production serves as the perfect backdrop, allowing Victoria's vocals to captivate and engage the listener. Reports say the new single is available on all streaming platforms. Still on entertainment, Nigerian sensational Afrobeat star Divine Ikobo, also known as Rema, is edging closer to equalizing late South African music legend Hutch Maskele's record for the highest charting African song on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart. Reports say that the remix version of his hit song Calm Down, which featured American singer Selena Gomez, hit a new peak at number 4 on this week's Hot 100 chart, which is a Nigerian record. Rema now has the 2nd highest charting song on Hot 100 by an African artist in history. Meanwhile, Calm Down is projected to hit a new peak next week. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Edit. Many thanks for being there and do enjoy the rest of your day.